counter ticking up. So I'm going to assume that means we're live.
Yes, let's just assume we're live. And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Paradox Hour, in which we, to put it politely, discuss the Shonen Escalation problem.
I mean, we'll be nice about some series, others not so much.
We'll also be nice to each other.
Yes,
but,
of course.
Kubo and Kishimoto don't get any sympathy.
Oof.
Nor does Toriyama.
No,
Toriyama. Band-Aid, huh?
Most anybody on Shonen's.
It's hard. We'll get into the weeds of it. We're gonna focus mostly on the major Shonen series, but there are plenty to discuss. So
I think we can be nice to Haikyuu. Haikyuu managed to.
So the thing about
we can be nice to One Piece.
We'll get there.
But would someone? But to put it simply, for most series, constant escalation is about as good an idea as OnlyFans banning adult content.
Oh, good.
Yes.
We are on the pulse for that one. Good.
Yes. No, seriously, what were they thinking?
I don't know. I don't know.
I have ideas. We'll talk about that off screen.
Okay, but yeah. So, someone define the Shonen Escalation problem, please.
Well, let's see. Probably the best way to describe the Shonen Escalation problem is basically the issue a lot of Shonen series, primarily Battle Shonen, have with the increased, the gradual escalation of stakes and power levels across the course of the series, to the point where it becomes problematic for the narrative cohesion of a story.
Now, here's the thing. That's a very good definition, but the problem with the definition is that it's necessary to a certain extent.
Escalation is necessary. It's all about how the escalation is executed.
But even then, it's kind of like the... Oh god, I'm gonna tear into Hunter x Hunter later.
Oh.
The thing about escalation is that after a certain point...
It's the question of stakes. At some point, stakes become too high for the story to reasonably continue without the conclusion being foregone.
Yes. That's the thing. Probably a... Let's start with a good example of escalation in a shonen series.
After a certain point, the hero losing can no longer be functional for the story to continue.
Yeah, no. But let's give a good example of how to handle escalation properly. Let's talk about One Piece. Because this series has largely avoided the issue of the escalation problem by having fairly reasonable stakes that the heroes could feasibly lose, while also having a very clear
They could and they have.
Yeah, exactly. It also has a very clear power ceiling as to where the cap on ability in the series is. And it shows it off in the character of Whitebeard about midway through the series. But we have a very clear idea of how strong individual characters can get and what the top players in the setting look like, and that level is the goal of several of the protagonists.
I wouldn't
and
even
then
say...
now we've come to the point where...
Whitebeard is the first example of that. I would say Mihawk is the first example of that.
Mihawk really.
Is the first example.
Well, the problem with Mihawk is that we don't have context yet.
Yeah.
We know Mihawk is crazy strong, but we don't know if Mihawk is like Grand Line first boss strong or Grand Line end boss strong. right? Like at that point in the series, we're still in the tutorial village.
I mean, yeah. So we're also given the idea like, oh, if Mihawk is Zoro's final opponent, that is the indication with Mihawk.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Mihawk and Zoro need to duel to the death.
Well, not necessarily to the death.
But they need to have a big, like, high stakes duel at the end of the line.
Right, and like you were setting the bar for essentially the second strongest member of the crew very early on with Mihawk, and then you have an early establishing of the upper limits with Shanks, like even theoretically.
I mean, another good example is Crocodile, who it shows how extremely tough the warlords are in the series by utterly trouncing Luffy.
In general, is kind of a subversion, honestly, in the sense that he's far more powerful than he should be at that point, or like than the antagonist should be at that point in the series. But he started out too cocky, then he held the idiot ball, and then he went crazy because Luffy has that effect on people.
Yeah, no, it's just a combination of him.
He was having a really bad day.
I mean,
yeah, no.
The real answer for the establishment of the ceiling is Ace versus Blackbeard.
Yeah.
Ace is not that close to the ceiling. Neither is Blackbeard at that point in the series, though.
That is
but it does give a good idea of what high-level Grand Line pirates fight like.
Okay, yeah, I can buy that. Yeah.
I think the argument can also be made for Aokiji as well.
Yeah, Aokiji shows like the pinnacle of the Marines.
Here's a good point to make. When showing a power ceiling, it's usually not clear when the point of comparison is the cast of protagonists.
Yeah.
Because, like I said with Mihawk, it's a stomp versus Aokiji. But at that point in the series, there's a lot of characters introduced later on with whom it would have been a stomp just as easily. So when you're showcasing the power ceiling, the problem is that early on in the series, against the cast, the antagonists or the people in general cannot show off their full power, so they don't have as good a context.
And very likely, Oda didn't know the full scope of Aokiji's or Mihawk's ability.
To be fair, Oda's known a lot of things for a long time.
Yeah. But no, like I
he's
said...
He's probably an idea of Shanks' power level from Chapter 1, considering the fact that, Conquerors...
That foreshadowing, though, yeah. No, but, like I said...
He only got stronger after he lost the arm.
Whitebeard is probably the firmest demonstration of what the power ceiling in the setting looks like. Because he's the world's strongest man, and he is going all out in this big, giant...
You can't even argue Garp is doing that, even though Garp is technically that.
Yeah, because in case you've forgotten, Garp and Roger managed to, by themselves, take out about 50% of the current most powerful oldies in the series in their prime. So they did that by themselves. So even if you assume that Garp and Roger were equals in terms of power, which I think is a fair assumption considering the fact that they were constantly in deadlock.
Well, they were, they're like what Smoker and Luffy is now.
Smoker's not good enough yet. Smoker's really needs to up his game. Because I'm pretty sure Luffy could stomp him now.
There's another thing to be aware of.
Smoker is Sengoku to Kobe's Garp.
That's a problem.
But Kobe's also not very strong yet.
Oh no, not yet, but he's gonna get there.
I
Another
hope he
thing to keep
doesn't.
in
But
mind is that Garp and Whitebeard are past their prime, and it's repeatedly stated so in the story.
Yes, but at the same time, it's heavily implied that Garp is still the strongest among the Marine side, excluding Chief Admiral Kong, who we still have no idea. But if he's not some sort of zone, I'm going to be upset.
Regardless, the point of this whole thing is to say One Piece has not crossed the threshold from doing escalation well to doing escalation poorly, and we have no reason to believe that you're going to do escalation.
And the thing is, this is actually a very important point. It's not necessarily a character-based power ceiling that you have to think about as well, because sometimes a magic system inherently has a power ceiling.
Yep.
And One Piece is very much one of those. And the problem is that most shonen are not that.
Well, the idea with most shonen is that you want to. We'll get to this, but like the economics of shonen is such that you almost need to never have a true ceiling, because then you can't keep your series running ad infinitum.
Well, unless you're Hunter x Hunter, in which case you're allowed to do something stupid and everyone praises you for it.
Can we avoid the Hunter x Hunter discussion for this podcast? Because otherwise it's just going to turn into the Hunter x Hunter podcast rather than discussing what we're actually supposed to be discussing.
No, we can touch upon it. No, Gurren Lagann is a special case that needs its own.
Hero Aka.
Hero Aka is very much in the same vein as One Piece. With the exception of one character who shall not be revealed because we have a filthy volume reader among us.
Hello.
With the exception of a certain character, Hero Aka also has a very firm power ceiling inherent to its magic system.
Well, the power ceiling is All Might and All for One.
Well, no, I mean that in terms of that, I don't even mean in terms of characters. I mean that on a mechanical level, quirks are finite.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, this is also true for we're talking about the escalation problem in terms of battle shonen. The escalation problem is a problem in also non-standard, non-battle shonen, like Soma, and
okay. That series, Food Wars, doesn't count as a non-battle series, because Food Wars. Let's set a delineation.
There are series in which the primary thing are the physical fight contests between characters.
Well, no. I would like to set a delineation between series with magic and series with ostensibly no magic.
Okay.
Let me clarify. Food Wars, because of the absolute nonsense that goes on, I would classify it as a series with magic.
I mean, I was going to mention, the whole final arc of complete bullshit.
Yeah, so I would classify Food Wars as a series with magic, not in the sense that it doesn't even try to be realistic, or it has a thin veneer of realism. For example, Haikyuu is a proper non-magical battle shonen. Well, shonen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Haikyuu is a proper. Kuroko no Basket, Kuroko's basketball, I would say that's a magical battle shonen.
That leads more towards
magical.
The magic sports, yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm saying outright, yeah, that's magic. Prince of Tennis, absolute. That's just that stopped trying to be realistic about 3 chapters in.
Look, they had the fucking ending of the dinosaurs. Nothing about that was.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Beyblade, Digimon, all of these, even Pokemon has this.
Series like Baki, that's magic.
Yeah.
Baki is 100% magic because it features a caveman named Pickle who lived alongside dinosaurs and survived being frozen in ice for 65 million years. I kid you not, that is a plot. That is an entire arc in Baki.
It is great.
Baki is fucking wild.
So the thing is, Pickle's a rapist.
Oh yeah.
God damn it.
And they just kind of. So Baki is probably one of the single most sexist series I've ever seen.
It's
just
weird.
Inherently. It's not weird. It's just blatantly sexist, which is very funny considering the fact that the author's daughter wrote Beastars, which is,
Beastars.
Not that.
I mean, it's furry propaganda is what it is.
Speaking of furry propaganda, I have to imagine the latest chapter of One Piece has awakened something in people.
I mean, I haven't been reading One Piece, so I have no idea what's happening.
I think he's referring to the one with the end of a certain fight recently.
Yamato's a furry.
Oh, and here I thought we were talking about the Yorogumo, but or Jorogumo.
No. Well, I mean, that's a different category. Okay, anyway, so here's the thing.
This is the thing, right? It's like Shonen in general does have this problem of it never knows when to not have the stakes.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was gonna say. Shonen Escalation, the problem is actually twofold. It's actually 2 separate problems. One is the escalation of the magic system and the power scaling. The second is the escalation of the stakes. Mm-hmm. The thing is, the reason I draw a line between the two is sometimes the escalation does not happen concurrently. Because sometimes you have regular-ass dudes doing a cooking competition to decide the fates of millions of people.
God damn it.
Or you have literal, conceptual gods fighting to decide who gets the last piece of fried chicken.
Okay, what series is that from?
That one just came off the top of my head, but the fact that you responded with asking what series that's from should prove my point.
Really says it all about Shonen, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And that's why I think we should draw a line between the two and kind of come at them. Because oftentimes they're paired, right? Dragon Ball tends to pair them. Mm. But a lot of series don't pair them. One Punch Man, for example.
One Punch Man is hard to gauge because Saitama has been the power ceiling from day one.
No, but the thing about One Punch Man is that Saitama's not a character, he's a plot device. That's what you have to remember.
Yeah.
So, in terms of escalation, it's the other characters you have to look at.
I can see that.
Yeah, so...
Characters say, Genos.
No, Jenny is the power floor.
Mm.
He is generally used as the war.
Saitama is the power ceiling, Jenny is the power floor, along with the prison rapist.
Beauty prisoner.
Yes, no, but, there's literally...
I don't get Shonen's obsession with these types of characters.
Yeah, literally there's a sequence in the series where he's attempting to bring the other prisoners back, and the other prisoners are saying, "No, we did not consent to what you did to us," and it's played for laughs.
I feel like there's one dude who has been in the company since like it started in the 60s, and he is used as the sole arbitrator for gags like this, and he has a very twisted sense of humor.
Why did the fire have to be at? Why did the fire have to be at Kyoani? Why couldn't the fire have been in Jump's editorial department?
That's going a little far.
Too soon?
Yeah, let's not go towards advocating death, please.
The point is,
look, I'm not advocating death, but if people were to die, then I'm going to look the other way. Okay, fine.
Let's change tack, please.
Okay, but so yeah, stakes and scaling are often paired, but they often have very little to do with each other, and that's why it's an even more complicated problem, because you can have a series where the power scaling is beautiful, but the scaling of stakes is utter trash, or vice versa. Like, honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. I think you can call Dragon Ball the former, because, and bear with me here.
Which was the former?
Good power scaling, bad stake scaling.
Like OG Dragon Ball pre-Z?
No. What I'm saying is, this is one of the things, this is actually something One Piece does as well. In Dragon Ball, the characters are constantly getting more powerful, but like so are the enemies, so like the sequence, the choreography, and the fights, they basically feel the same.
My argument against it being good at scaling is that only two people really are getting stronger.
Well, only
the
two
rest
people,
of the cast get chucked into the dirt damn near immediately.
Oh yes, it's the Goku and Vegeta show.
Well, sometimes they get to like fight minions. Sometimes
That's not
they get to
same.
like have wins against the grunts.
It's not the same.
I mean, Piccolo constantly fighting the quirky mini-boss squad has always delighted the movies.
Yeah.
I do love that. Like, it is wonderful. And also, Piccolo won at life because his granddaughter acknowledged him before her actual blood-related grandfather.
That is kind of funny.
Mm.
Namekians don't eat, but he still learned how to cook for his granddaughter. That's it. That's not parenting, then I don't know what is.
But yeah, Piccolo and Vegeta pretty much exist to just be beaten up to show how strong the new enemy is, so Goku looks even stronger when he beats them.
In Super, Vegeta got a little... His treatment was somewhat fairer.
Was it really? Was it really?
The Tournament of Power also does make things a bit better overall by having each of the characters.
We all knew from minute one that it was always going to end up being between Goku and Jiren.
I mean, it did surprise us with how it ended, though, by having a 3-on-1.
Well, it ended up being Goku, Frieza, and Jiren, and then Android 17 was a cockroach.
17 was long-range support, and then he cockroached.
No, he wasn't long-range support. 17 was just spawn camping and, like, hiding.
It's a valid strategy.
That's why he won.
It's a valid strategy.
17, he has kids now. He's got better things to do than get himself killed in some sort of fighting tournament again.
But yes, but Dragon Ball's real issue is stakes, because on the one hand they are so high we know what's going to happen. On the other, there are no stakes because Dragon Balls.
Yes, exactly. That's the other thing I was going to say, is the Dragon Ball is kind of unique in that it breaks stake scaling in both directions. Which I like. You gotta hand it to Toriyama. Very few other series are capable of doing it so breaking so magnificently. Either way it goes, it has no stakes.
To be fair, Toriyama tried to add some limiters on the Dragon Ball by saying, "Oh, hey, you can only be revived once," and then he realized he needed Piccolo back after killing him, and had to go, oh dear.
You didn't like really need Piccolo that much.
Yes, they did.
Kind of just there.
Because they needed
Oh,
Piccolo
right,
to
the
be
Dragon
alive
Balls.
so that Kami was alive.
Yes, okay, right. Look, I forget that there's plot in Dragon Ball, honestly. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I skipped all of the dialogue in the Tournament of Power. I just waited for the whole thing to be over, and then I just watched some of the Ultra Instinct scenes on repeat, and then watched some of the more fun fights on repeat.
You say that like I watched
Damn,
the Tournament of Power and didn't just listen to Moscow X's review of it.
You guys watch the Tournament of Power?
No, I didn't. I just listened to Moscow X review it, as I did all of Super, because I don't.
But did you at least
care.
listen to the Ultra Instinct song over and over again?
Not over and over again. I think I listened to it a couple of times.
It's a good song, though. It is a good song.
It's a very good song.
But yeah, it's in terms of the stakes. I would say it gets broken somewhere between Piccolo Senior and Piccolo Junior. Maybe Raditz at a push. Certainly, once they get to Raditz, there is literally no further they can go up.
The humans don't get to. Tien's fight against Semi-Perfect Cell is literally the last time anyone who isn't a Saiyan does anything.
Didn't he manage to hold off Boo for a little bit? I don't know. I've not read the Boo saga.
No, he just stopped Boo from Dende.
My only experience of that fight is from TFS playing in one of the video games.
Can we just talk just real quick? The video games are so good.
Oh no, Dragon Ball has a smorgasbord of good video games.
I just
And
wish
bad
there were
video
more
games.
games like Attack of the Saiyans, or just like I wish there were more non-standard fighting games. Like non-standard games, because like have you noticed the shonen adaptations are basically all just arena fighters?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why?
Awesome, yeah.
Why do they have to be that? Like Attack of the Saiyans was great. Like hell, I'd even take the card battle games over the 19th arena or 2D fighter.
Is it something Is it something we can blame on the Naruto Storm games? Because a lot
Unfortunately,
of them
no. The Dragon Ball games came first.
Speaking of Naruto, let's talk about that one now.
Ah, yes,
Oh,
Nart
boy.
and Black and Fairy Tail. Ugh.
We'll get to Fairy Tail last. Because Nart and...
When are we covering
Black
Hunter x Hunter then? Because no, I'm not going to just rant about Hunter x Hunter. I have legitimate like complaints about Hunter x Hunter regarding this topic. But let's do Nart and Black first.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, Naruto starts off as a series
Yep.
about, hand-to-hand fighting ninjas, and then at the end becomes
Well,
gods.
Yeah, and what's funny is that characters who were displayed as the ceiling... So this is the difference, right, between something like Nart and One Piece, is that the same characters who were supposed to have the same power levels have different power levels at the beginning of the series and at the end of the series. What I mean by that is Grandpa Hokage.
That's third Hokage, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
third,
Yeah.
the old dude. Yeah.
Naruto
So his thing, right? Because you're a filthy weeb. His thing is that him versus Orochimaru in the early game is trying to be this sort of power ceiling establishment. Except what they do in that series is nowhere near what they do in the later parts of the series, despite the fact that one of them has theoretically had no change in power level because he died in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the implication there.
The argument might be, if you want to give Kishi the credit, which I don't personally, but I do have to point out the potential argument, which is Third was old. Third was very old at that point.
That's no excuse for Orochimaru.
Yes.
Orochimaru is arrogant.
Like, Orochimaru. He's cheat.
And Orochimaru, planned the whole, I'm going to bring his predecessors back from the dead, and he's going to be so fucking shocked.
Okay, you know what? The predecessors, right? The first Hokage was brought back.
Literally able to turn into a giant wood kaiju, wasn't he?
Yes, he literally was capable of becoming the incarnation of the thousand-handed cannon.
Spud, the issue with that is that they were still reanimated at the end of the series and were still able to become the giant wood kaiju.
Exactly! That's what I'm saying, is that he had no idea what his power scaling was going to be, and so he had to pull a rabbit out of the hat at the end. Get it?
Yeah.
This Princess Kaguya is also a rabbit. No, but seriously, that was utter bullshit. And I don't swear very often, but why?
No, you're right in that it was bullshit.
Yeah, why would you turn it into Tale of Prince Kaguya at the end? Oh.
Oh, what?
Sorry, I was receiving a phone call. Yes, can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of exactly when Naruto's power scaling went to...
Time skip. Right after the first arc. Huh?
Yeah, I can agree with that, actually.
Who left?
Might have been Gen. Yeah, it was Gen.
Okay, well, so here's the thing. Let me just say, first Hokage literally was capable of destroying countries on his own. Did none of that against the third. Second, was apparently some sort of master of, space-time bullshit, which is overpowered in every series. He did none of that.
Again, the argument I feel could be made for first, because second was basically a placeholder. But first not actually, doing anything when he got brought back by Orochimaru the first time, is that maybe, he was able to hold himself back a bit? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, but that didn't work. That's the thing, is that was proven later on that someone weaker than Orochimaru, controlling literally thousands of them, was able to make them completely obedient.
Wasn't Nagato trying to hold it back and he just couldn't?
Yes. He literally couldn't.
So here's the thing. I haven't actually read or watched most of the what is it, third, fourth Ninja War. I don't remember any of it. I don't know any of it really.
Fair.
I know the bare bones of it based on the final Ultimate Ninja Storm game, but that's about it.
So I'm gonna say one thing: the Ninja Storm games.
They're the best way to go through Naruto. They're the best way to go through Naruto. Yes, they are
single-handedly. They are better than any other. They are the only way to go through Naruto.
Especially if you have the neutral Spanish voices.
Look, I'm not gonna go that far.
I am.
I'm not TFS memeing.
I'm not even memeing. Fucking Spanish anything is great. Have you played a sports game with Spanish commentary? It's great.
Bold of you to assume I've played a sports game.
Fair point.
Speaking of sports, shall we talk about how power scaling in Kuroko versus power scaling in Haikyuu? In which one of them is just they gain magic powers at some point.
I mean, yeah.
And go Super Saiyan. And in the other one, it's
to be fair to Kuroko, like, it doesn't, like, try and pretend that it's not magic bullshit from minute one.
It kind of does.
No, it really doesn't. From minute one, it's just like, yeah, we've got these 5 guys who have got ridiculous abilities, like supernaturally good abilities, and we're going to introduce them one by one.
Then, well, they have 4 guys with supernatural abilities and Piccolo. He's even color-coded green.
Which one is Piccolo again? Is it
the green-haired?
Is that Midoriyama? Is that his name?
Yes,
I haven't read Kuroko in a year.
Has green.
I haven't read Kuroko in a year, so I don't remember.
Oh no!
Much of
For
it.
context, the others have superpowers. His superpower is that he can shoot full court shots.
I mean, in basketball, that's a pretty good.
Yes, but
That's
but like the other people can like have magical eyes and like are capable of going Super Saiyan and are like have mimicry abilities, and he just is good at shooting the ball because he practices a lot. So I feel bad for that, dude.
But yes, I get that. But yeah. But again, I don't think. I mean, I don't think the power scaling of Kuroko is bad in any way. I think it does actually manage to sort of, level that way up fairly well, except for the fact that like 80% of the protagonist team is fairly useless, especially in like the second to last match.
There's 2 people who are worth anything on the protect team.
There's like the 2
for filler.
There's the 2 protagonists. There's the captain who's like a good basketball player, but not supernaturally good. And then there's the guy who likes to make puns.
His power is that he has strong grip.
Yeah.
That's literally the only thing he has is his strong grip.
Yeah. And then there's one other dude that I do not fucking remember.
He's the one who doesn't talk. That's literally his thing.
He sounds very memorable.
Right, he has like 9 brothers and sisters. They all have very thick eyebrows, and he does not say a single word throughout the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
Which show is this?
Kuroko.
Oh, fuck. Fuck.
Oh, wait, no, they also have the guy who's banging the manager.
Wait, what?
He's not actually banging the manager, but, it's...
But they want to. It's a mutual attraction
Yeah,
sort
no,
of
it's that group. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Hold on, I'm looking it up. Renosuke Mitoba is the guy who never says anything and is essentially a Native American. And then Junpei Hyuga is the guy banging the manager.
No, he's the captain. Hyuga is the captain who, like...
Yeah,
well, Hyuga's the captain. Teppei is the guy with the strong grip who is their, like, spiritual center.
Teppei Kiyoshi is the uncrowned king.
Not gonna lie, that's a dope-ass nickname.
Yeah.
So, no, he's one of the 5 uncrowned kings. It's a whole thing. You know what's funny? It's another one of those things. Of the 5 uncrowned kings, 3 of them have superpowers. Teppei has, like, a very strong grip, and the other one just, like, breaks people's legs. His whole thing is that he's good at fouling people.
You wonder what they call his special power? Right of postponement.
What?
Hold on. I just want to read you the list of powers for the Uncrowned King. It's steals, multiple shooting forms, muscle power, the lightning dribble, right of postponement.
I just like that's a very I have a very complicated relationship with that series.
You say that, Tiago, but being able to break people's legs is a pretty good skill for basketball. People can't run and block without their legs.
True.
But
I mean,
yeah,
most
also,
not even most. It is
the
legal.
most BS.
Shouldn't say that, but he's right things.
Yes, the most BS one though is one of the characters that, strangely enough, is a dick, but like faces no consequences. in that his power is that he can literally steal other people's basketball abilities.
Yeah, that's the multiple basketball forms guy.
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about another. No.
Sixth man.
Huh?
The original Sixth Man. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that guy. He's like, haha, I copy you, but I slightly change the motion so that you somehow aren't able to do it anymore. Because that
He's
makes sense.
essentially
That's basically what that one fuckface from Soma does too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yes, no. The point is that's a magical power series in which the first person you meet is a guy who can throw the ball really well.
Well, no, the
last
first one
boss-
they meet is Aomine, isn't it?
No.
no.
No, the first one they have a
technically
match
Kuroko's
against
the
is
first one.
Blondie. They have a match against Blondie, but that's just a practice match, and then they have their first official match against Greenhead.
Yeah, Blondie is copy.
Yes,
Greenhead
Blondie
is
copies
Super
people.
3 is sharpshooter.
Oh yeah,
Greenhead's power is that he
again.
can...
I'm sorry. I read Kuroko once, and it was last summer, and that was in the middle of me binging a lot of other mangas.
No, for fair. I just want you to remember. I just need you to also just tell you, Rakuzan. What was it? When two schools are introduced in the semifinals, I think. One is called. Hold on, which one is it? Shit. I need to look this up because it's fucking stupid.
To answer your question, Spud, I don't know because these guys are the ones who know sports series. I have not touched any of them.
We will get to Haikyuu. Don't worry about that. Trust me. I will make sure we get to Haikyuu.
We'll get to the good series after we go through the questionable series.
Right. So one school is called the Legendary King, right? The other schools they're facing when they get introduced are called Emperor of Creation.
I mean, to be fair, those are the rich people schools. So that does sound like a name rich people would give their school children.
Not wrong.
But still, Kuroko is just magic basketball.
It really is.
It's a magical battle shonen that somehow is wearing the skin of a basketball series.
Mm-hmm. And then on the other side of that, you have Haikyuu, which is literally about as unpowered a sports show as you can get. Like literally, there are so many YouTube videos of volleyball players watching Haikyuu and going, "Holy shit, this is so realistic."
Right. Like, I mean, not even baby steps can take that claim to fame.
Mm.
You know what's interesting though? We should talk about series that try to be that and fail.
At some point. I also want to bring up one other series that we should probably bring up in the Shonen Escalation, and that's Hitman Reborn.
Mm.
Oh.
You know, every time you mention that, I get more and more glad that I never touched it.
It's a garbage
If
fire.
only because Hitman Reborn, unlike Haikyuu, unlike One Piece, even unlike Naruto, which had a very linear progression, it had the Bleach problem. I don't know if you guys talked about Bleach yet.
Not yet.
No.
We're going to say that.
I think we should talk about Hitman when we talk about Bleach.
Okay, I'll just finish off the Haikyuu bit then, because I do think that it scales its power quite well. It doesn't like immediately introduce its power ceiling, but the way that it progresses is really good because it goes from sort of a jack of all trades team with no sort of real specialty to the team with one good one like world class player and then a bunch of, you know, good players, to then a team with like a national level combination to the Masters of Defense to the Masters of Offense and Defense, which is where it basically, like, spoiler alert, that's where Haikyuu ends pre-time skip.
At which point, Mel, at what point does Hinata spike the ball so hard that it travels back in time and kills the dinosaurs?
In the short featuring Michael Jordan called High IQ.
I see.
Wait, that actually exists, or are you
No.
guys just fucking around?
No, I'm making a joke about TFS's Haikyuu video, which is utterly hilarious. Where clearly nobody who made it has ever watched or read a single thing about IQ, but it's still great. Especially considering they actually get Michael Jordan's voice to voice Michael Jordan by like
Great.
using voice clips.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's great. But again, like, it's... I mean, again, that's the other thing. Like, the protagonists never get, like, overpowered. Hinata is always, like, seen as, yes, a good player, but, like, he's got his distinct weaknesses. For one, he's terrible at blocking because he's, like, 5'5", and most of the people he's facing are 6 foot and above. So, and again, in terms of the stakes, you know, sports show,
that reminds me of that
stakes
one...
can't really get that high.
Oh yeah, that reminds me of that one really good...
Beyblade.
Oh god.
Fuck.
Fucking Moses parting the Red Sea with spinning tops.
Oh god.
That's actually something that happened is the worst and best part.
Oh no.
I have a question. Andy, have you read much or at all of Captain Tsubasa?
It's been a long time. I don't remember much.
I have not I personally have not like watched or anything, so all my knowledge of it comes from the PS4 game. But that's another Magic Sports show.
It is, but I think it
Oh,
also
I thought you were talking about Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicle. Never mind.
No,
but
Captain
it also
Tsubasa.
It also does escalation well in that you start as little children.
Yeah.
And eventually make it to adults or up like high school students.
Yeah.
On world stage.
Mm.
And like players who are actually World Cup level. Or like World Cup tier.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Inazuma 11.
Fucking love
which
Inazuma 11. I need another game from that series. Jesus God.
I love it, but it does feature Prince of Tennis levels of superpowers.
Look, there is a move called the Gungnir, where you kick a ball so hard it's like the spear of fucking Odin, and someone else and a goalie summons the heavenly Buddha to stop the ball.
That sounds
I need to
fucking
watch
wild.
this.
What the hell?
Inazuma 11 is awesome. It's stupid. I love it. It's so dumb, but it's so cool.
That sounds like some Legend of Koizumi shit.
Yeah.
You can emulate, since the games are not available anymore because they're for the DS and stuff. You can very easily emulate them.
Oh yeah, there's an entire series of DS games, isn't there?
They're great. That's how I got introduced to the series.
How was Prince of Tennis at Escalation? Because it's again one of those series that I
you
read
should
last
know
year.
from the fact that we talked about it.
Terrible.
Like I said, Prince of Tennis starts pretending to be a tennis series, And then, as I said, hitting the ball so hard the dinosaurs go extinct.
Well, again,
Look,
the issue with Prince of Tennis is that it starts with like the protagonist is one of the best players ever, like, and it's very hard to go up from there.
They have him off screen win the U.S. Open, come back, and then struggle against other high school students.
Yeah.
I think that's just
I'm not even
because
talking about the Junior U.S. Open, the one for high school students. Ryoma Etchison wins the actual adult U.S. Open as like a freshman or a sophomore, and then continues to struggle against high school students.
I mean, yeah, clearly, if Federer and Nadal really wanted a challenge, they should, be going over to Japan and facing some of these high school students.
The worst part is when you get to the new Prince of Tennis. And this is where, like, Kuroko and Prince of Tennis run into their issue, because they're functionally sequel series. The characters, like, Ryoma and the Deuteragonist of Kuroko, who's not Kuroko, have both unlocked like the Super Saiyan modes.
Kagami.
And
Kagami,
like you
that's
still
his name.
need to establish what?
Kagami.
Tiger.
Tiger.
Yeah.
Tiger
But like
Kagami.
you still need to establish the stakes, but then you all like but they already have a chained like god mode. So how do you fix that? You
Giving
avail
everyone
of
else
brand
god
new
mode.
different characters who can just snipe everyone around them.
Again, it is the issue of these sequel series, where these shows, reach at the very least an end point, even if it's not a good end point in terms of the power scaling.
What do you mean by out of curiosity? What do you mean by Kuroko being a sequel series?
No. Kuroko had a sequel series.
Yeah,
Did-
Kuroko had a sequel series.
As far as I'm aware, I didn't read most of it,
Hmm.
but it essentially
the
had
series,
the
it was a
plot-
one-
Well,
shot.
it's got like different. It's got like extra game,
a miniseries.
Winter Cup compilation, the last game movie that came out in 2017. Like it's had sequels to it. Like, and again, the issue is that they've set this power ceiling for the protagonist to overcome, and then they have to set a new one all over again. It's like, wait, why weren't they there in the beginning? Where are they?
Also, like the other problem is a lot of these times, like for a series set on like human Earth, and like especially in shows like Kuroko and Prince of Tennis, and say Beyblade or I don't know, but like
Yu-Gi-Oh.
the whole, Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Is like
Yu-Gi-Oh! Is less
what
so.
are the Yu-Gi-Oh less so because Kaiba just has more money than God, but like.
Even Beyblade, not really that much.
Kaiba is God, thank you.
True, but my point is like, at what point do we get like, you're like okay, but if you know anything about these about this the specific sphere in which these characters are operating, like Prince of Tennis with, the tennis pros, where does like Djokovic and Nadal and Federer rank?
So, what's funny? Some series do address this by making the analogs of the real characters superhuman, or the real people. Other series, like Kuroko specifically, is like, so the professional NBA players, Kobe, like Kyle Lowry, the LeBron James, are not comparable in any way to Japanese high school students.
No.
Right.
Or even like American high school students, as in Extra Game. Because it's explicitly stated multiple times that the things these high school students are doing are things that people in the NBA can't do, which implies that it's not that all humans are superhuman, it's just these high school students.
See, there's a special shonen that I really want to mention right now that actually
Oh,
talks
no.
about this
Go on.
at it, at its end, and it's Madaka.
Really?
Oh.
So Madaka Box is infamous for
Yes.
being a series about what happens when you have Mary Sues and Auntie Sues and every kind of Mary Sue under the sun fight each other. And like as the series goes on, you get characters from who can, manipulate the electromagnetic field of the earth to command people to kneel before them, to a character who can literally create fire and ice, to someone who has Shiggy's ability, to someone who is literally God and can create
And you're
new
cutting out.
powers or delete reality. It's wild, and the series whole mission statement is this: the power escalation curve is hyperbolic, and that is by design. And then you get to the very end of the series. By the way, the series does not end well in terms of like that last arc is just garbage.
I hate Medaka Box for the ending alone.
But one of the lines in the ending is that it's hinted at is like all of these characters who are superhuman in many, many ways, they all start to realize, as they graduate, as they're leaving, you're like, their powers are starting to fade. It's almost as if the powers that they have are because they were children and they had imagination. And like now that they're entering the adult,
that's interesting because this is off topic. This is just an interesting thought. So Medaka Box was written by Nisio Isin, who also did the Pretty Boy Detective Club. And Monogatari.
And more infamously did,
Monogatari, yes. I have such a Oh, you want to talk about sailing?
Well, the thing about Pretty Boy Detective Club is that it is very much about or certainly part of it is about sort of childlike imagination and trying to keep that alive, sort of thing. So it's interesting that that's sort of something that is in.
So,
is
if you read between the
on.
lines, Medaka Box is about a bunch of Chunies being Chuny at each other.
Right?
Does sound like it.
The few adult characters who are superhuman are either incredibly like immature and like maldeveloped, or
They're the cool adults.
or is like a Chuny themselves, like Zenkichi's mother, who is herself a superhuman, but like has the body of a child and like acts childish. Like the point is like
there's an entire subgenre of doujin for that.
Right, but like the point is like Medaka Box does at least attempt to go, hey, this is a thing.
I think the series is worse for it.
I think so too, but at least it tried to do something. I think, in my mind, it tried to do something interesting, and
it failed, but it tried.
Huh?
It failed, but it tried.
Hashtag you tried.
Mm-hmm.
Right, which is more than I can say for like other shonen of its era.
So, are we going to talk about Bleach now?
I mean, we can talk about.
We should probably bite that bullet.
Y'all can talk about Bleach. I don't give a shit. I've not read Bleach.
You are a lucky bastard.
You lucky motherfucker. Like, not to knock on Bleach fans, they've been knocked on enough.
They've been knocked on by the author and like the series.
But Bleach has a really bad issue with power escalation.
It also has the single worst epilogue of any shonen ever written.
It does feel like Bleach
No,
is
it does
the
not.
least.
Domestic girlfriend exists.
But Bleach
No,
feels
no,
like
no.
the.
I'm like, I think Domestic Girlfriend has a better epilogue than Bleach's.
I strongly disagree.
I can explain my reasoning for that, but this is not the right podcast for that.
But yeah,
No, it's not.
I feel like Bleach is the least offensive of the big series that went bad genre.
How so?
Like,
You're saying this because you haven't read it.
yes, I am saying this because I haven't read it, but like from what I know of it, it seems like the least offensively bad of them, compared to the likes of Naruto and Fairy Tail.
He's not wrong.
It actually has the exact same progression as Naruto.
Which one?
Approximately.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Has a really solid first arc, and then it kind of just escalates until it. For example, this is actually one interesting thing we haven't talked about yet. Bleach, the good guys won because they consciously gave the antagonist the idiot ball. Because Kubo wrote himself into a corner in that he made his antagonist way too overpowered.
Right.
So, Mill, let me give you some context.
Okay.
The antagonist, his power is illusion. He can basically create an entire world's worth of hyper-realistic illusions that once you're in, there's no way of getting yourself out.
Right.
Literally, there is no solution, except for one, but that we'll get to that. Anyone who has ever seen his sword in its activated state is susceptible to the illusion, no matter where they are or who they are.
Right.
BS. Do you know why our resident Orangehead won?
Go on.
Because he hadn't seen the fucking sword activate.
And at no point after they during the final battle did the dude activate his sword. Why? We don't know, but he didn't.
It was probably holding the idiot ball pretty fucking hard.
That does seem
to
flawed.
an absurd degree.
That does seem like a flawed strategy. If you have an instant win and then you don't use it.
To be fair, he also wasn't using his sword at the time. I'm not.
Yeah.
It was around the point that he got that super game breaker magic orb thingamadoo, so I think he just stopped giving a fuck about using his sword at that point.
He became a human butterfly. It didn't matter anymore.
But at the same time, the fact that because this is not the first time they met, right? They've met multiple times by this point. At no point did he think, maybe I should just add this extra little insurance and make sure there's not, one of the most powerful people in the world is not susceptible to my abilities.
To the point where we get flashbacks where the big bad has met him as a child and created the specific set of circumstances that led to the hero gaining his abilities.
He led to the set of circumstances that caused the hero to be conceived. He literally introduced the protag's mom to the protag's dad.
I mean, I feel like at this point he wanted to be defeated.
Yes, actually, you know what's funny? That is actually the final thing, is that he got his hands on a literal god ball. A little orb that literally warped reality according to his whim. And at the end, the mysterious mentor figure was like, see, the only reason we were able to defeat him is because he wanted to be defeated. And I'm just like, okay,
that makes no
why
fucking
did
sense.
we have to go through all these steps?
There seem to be several missing steps in that plan.
I mean, clearly the dude, like, wanted to be defeated, but didn't want it to be, like, gimme. Didn't want anyone to say, oh, you just gave up. He has a reputation to protect. I'm assuming it's a he. It's a shonen manga, so,
Yes, it's a
Right,
he.
and yeah.
Also,
There is the final arc has the villain have a power set that I still do not understand.
Oh yeah, no, fucking Ewok or some shit is the dude's name.
No, what we should actually address first is the fact that somehow Kubo managed to make the final arc's villains Jewish Nazis.
Wait, what?
Yep.
They are Jewish Nazis.
The fuck?
Isn't that what
Yup.
Attack on Titan tried to do?
Yeah, but like, no, it's even more blatant because they're the Stern Ritter, which very very SS themed, like very Nazi Germany themed, except they're also all like their entire mythological thing is steeped in like Kabbalah and Jewish mythology.
God fucking damn it, Kubo. Do your fucking research properly.
Kubo doesn't want to write anything. He just wants to draw for a living.
He's really good at drawing, to be fair.
Like,
yes.
I'm not gonna lie. The final, a lot of the art in the final arc is excellent. Not gonna lie.
Oh. Yeah, no. Kubo is honestly one of the best artists to work in Shonen Jump.
His character arc is great. His character arc is great. His backgrounds are not the thing. The only thing separating Kubo from Miura is the fact that Miura can do backgrounds that make you could do rip Miura.
Damn.
I actually just forgot for a second that. Oh god, now I'm sad. Anyway, also Kubo never drew.
Sad.
Also, Kubo never drew naked people, even when people were naked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did that whole Barbie doll thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the first manga author.
It's not his fault. It's Jump's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it does have to appeal to teenagers.
I feel like the nudity would help the teenagers.
See, the other problem with so Mill, when we were talking about Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, we mentioned the fact that after a while it became the two-person show.
Mm-hmm.
Where exact same situation.
It's almost worse because by the end, so in Bleach, much like in DBZ, there are different classes of super people. Right? Like in Bleach, you have the Soul Reapers, you have the Quincy, you have the Hollow, the Arankar, the whatever the fuck the Visor, I think they are. And then which one?
The Vizards. They're pronounced Vizards, more or less.
And then the group with the weird powers at the end.
Fullbringers are BS.
Yes, that was what it was. The Fullbringers. Whatever channel it was. Ichigo becomes literally all of them.
He's like that classic fanfic character who's half Saiyan, half Frieza race, half Namekian, half Majin,
that is by design, by the antithesis of the series. Yes, the bad guy was like, what if we took a guy who's like half hollow, half human, and made him, or like half human, half Soul Reaper, and then made him bang someone who is half hollow, half Quincy. Yes.
I.e. his mother.
And then the people in this universe's hell will definitely not be able to complain about how it was beaten.
That's funny. There's canonically a hell in that universe. There's canonically a hell in that universe, and it's never really discussed.
Again, I just assumed that
the afterlife itself is very unclear in that universe.
It was really unclear.
I'm just assuming that was the motivation of this final villain that you keep saying, is he just didn't want to get shit thrown at him by his peers in hell.
Well, he didn't die. He just got He didn't die. He got put in prison.
And got released for the final arc.
And he didn't even help during the final arc. He didn't do anything. He kind of just got a free pass and is like, He actually got the Orochimaru treatment, in which Orochimaru is a war criminal who's committed genocide and
are you
slaughters children
talking
for
about
fun.
Aizen? Are you talking about Aizen rather than
Yes, Aizen.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yuhabaha?
I believe Yuak.
It's based on Yahweh, the YW, the Tetragrammaton.
I've heard it called, in terms, just for ease of saying, Juhabak is what I've heard.
That was a mistranslation.
I'm literally just going off the Hepburn transliteration from Wikipedia.
Yeah,
call him Yahweh.
Basically, it's pronounced Yuwak, except merge the two words together more.
Yuak.
And the point is, he's the son of God.
Yes. Oh, can we also talk about the fact that apparently the world of Bleach is only a few million years old?
Yeah, it's weird.
Because it's a human world. There's in England, it has a spin-off in England that has a completely different magic system. But it's
is that what the other Kubo thing is? What
Burn
the fuck's
the
it called?
Witches.
Burn the Witch. Yes, that's what Burn the Witch is.
Okay, that's interesting. I think we should move it on because we have spent a long time
this
just
is turning into a Bleach rant
to me.
Okay, but the point, another point I want to make really quick is, Hitman Reborn, much like Bleach, has a main character.
Mm-hmm.
Thrown into a very weird world, and then every arc has them fight a progressively more powerful set of 7 bad guys who all have power sets, who are 1-to-1 matchups for each of the 7 heroes, and we repeat that for 6 arcs.
Mm-hmm.
We eventually get to the point where they are fighting one of the original, the point is you're fighting an original mafia. God, shit, hold on, I'm trying to remember. You are fighting. It eventually ends with a battle royale between all of the major teams of heroes and villains that have been defeated or have shown up previously. And each of them is being coached by a magic baby. And you're all trying to fight a guy. They're all trying to maneuver around the machinations of a guy with a magic checkered mask and a baby with a clear pacifier. It's a weird series. Don't ask. And it just goes forever to get to that point. And it never progresses. The character at the beginning of the arc is always I don't want to do this. Gets roped into it. Says, okay, I'm going to do this. It has this whole arc where he has to accept the role of being the Vongol, the boss of this chapter of the mafia. Much like how Deku has to be the current wielder of All for One and yada yada
One for
yada.
all, you mean?
Yeah. And then, after all of that, after he gets I've done it. I've beaten everyone. I'm the fucking strongest. I'm king of the world. I am this fucking mob boss. The series goes and says, all right, we're going to go back to square one where we were a gag series. And all of your character development is gone.
Why, though?
You know what's funny? That happened to what was one of my favorite and probably one of the best magical cooking series of all time, Yakitate Japan.
Oh yeah, that did happen.
That series had a world tournament, and up to and including the world tournament, it was a phenomenal series in that it at no point did it pretend to not be magic. There was literally one of the early antagonists turned into a panda after eating really good bread. And he just stayed a panda for the rest of the series.
That's fucking right.
Yakitate is wild.
Every series needs
He
a
was
panda
much
character.
He was much nicer as a panda. He was a dick as a human, but he like chilled out a lot as a panda.
Oh god, we should talk. I need to mention Toriko.
Okay,
I'm not gonna.
Toriko and Hunter x
I'm not
Hunter
gonna
are two sides of the same coin. So this is where I get to talk about Hunter x Hunter after we talk about Toriko.
Toriko, because my issue with Toriko
Other than
is
the
that,
author.
yeah, I'm disregarding the author. I read the series in its entirety before I knew anything about the author. By the at one point you're introduced to like the three essentially this like the Toriko equivalent of the Sannin from Naruto.
Mm-hmm.
One's evil, one's like traveling the world, and one's the Hokage. Like that's kind of the setup, right?
Alright.
And like you're also introduced to the fact that their master is like the world's greatest like hunter in terms of like food hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And he developed a full course meal that is said to have stopped and ushered in an era of peace.
Also, the main ingredient of it is God.
Right. Like
Well,
each of it's like air, pear, soul,
oxygen is one of them. Oxygen is
air.
a drink, apparently.
Yeah.
No, air and oxygen are separate. There is one of them is oxygen is a drink, air is like a pastry. It's weird.
Hold
What
on,
the
I'm
fuck
gonna
is
look
this
it up.
series?
It's
To be
stupid.
fair, oxygen and air are not exactly the same thing.
The same thing, yes. Yes, no.
Center is the hors d'oeuvre, pear is the soup, another is the fish, news is the meat, air is the salad, earth is the dessert, and atom is the drink. And God is the main course.
God as the main course really defines food-related shonen in a nutshell.
But the point is that at the end of the series, so one of the things that you will often hear in the series, like you'll see throughout the series, is Toriko and his like co-sibling, like his co-teammates in the other Heavenly Kings, each have a special food demon that they can summon as like
They have stands.
They have stands.
Oh,
And
we're going to talk about JoJo, aren't we?
And then eventually, by the end, you realize that these stands are not native to the dimension or planet that they're on. They come from another plane of existence. And Toriko has 3 of them.
Okay.
2 of which are revealed in the last arc. The last one revealed in the last 5 chapters.
Tiago, I am just as lost as you are. You do not have to be concerned here.
What?
It's Battle
referring to
Shonen.
the
No one has
comic.
any idea what they're... The authors usually don't have any idea what they're talking about, with the exception of Oda. And Akutami. Akutami's good at writing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But like the point is like Toriko just goes off its deep end real quick.
Mm.
And like it's
So,
so interesting. I was so mad. I wanted to like it.
Too bad, man. We should also touch briefly on JoJo and Jujutsu Kaisen because they are very different from a lot of the examples we've discussed today. Like, in Jujutsu Kaisen, the power feeling is introduced very early on in Gojo, who is explicitly and very proudly the strongest sorcerer alive.
And he literally says at one point,
action.
what was it that he said? Throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the honored one. Literally says that.
Which is a reference to Buddhism, I believe.
Mm.
So what we're saying is Gojo is the heavenly Buddha.
Yep.
He has
Buddha,
that
Buddha
much
got
pride in
fit.
himself
Buddha
that
got,
he
Buddha got
posts
fit and rail fit thin.
Yeah.
I mean, Buddha has really pretty eyes.
He does. He does indeed.
God, I
pretty
just
eyes.
like his eyes just do something to me.
To be fair, once his eyes were revealed in the anime, there was just a wave of thirst art. Just
There was. I
all over
liked a lot of it. I liked a lot of it on Twitter.
yeah, no, it's funny. But anyways, Gojo is a very clear power ceiling, and at no point does there come any character in the setting besides maybe Sukuna who could come even
So
close
the
to
thing about
challenging him in a
Sukuna
direct
is that
confrontation.
it's possible that in terms of raw power, Sukuna wouldn't win, but he seems to like know how to do weird stuff.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
He's got outside context powers.
But either way,
Yeah.
like Gojo seems pretty fucking confident that if
It's Gojo and Sukuna.
if 20 Finger Sukuna popped up in front of him, Gojo would still win. Gojo is confident.
it might be tough, but he also acknowledges that yeah, he could still probably win.
No, he said he'd have to exert himself a bit.
Yeah.
Which says a lot. But
Says a lot because he gets
every
a
other
surprising
character-
amount of fights throughout the series, given that he's the strongest character. And if he's not exerting himself, then he makes everything
Like-
look very easy.
Basically, the power scale of the series is Sukuna fingers, and then above 20 Sukuna fingers is Gojo.
Yeah.
And that's the power scale.
But yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know enough about Jujutsu Kaisen to know.
Yeah, no, Jujutsu Kaisen does its power scaling pretty well.
So Jujutsu Kaisen, I feel like, has two categories of power, and this is another kind of interesting direction you can take it with regards to power scaling in general. The idea of you can go wide or you can go deep.
Yeah.
So it seems like Gojo is very much the going wide sort of thing, right? He's the most powerful in terms of like raw power, and like basically he's the brute force guy. But it seems like Sukuna, and I think honorable mentions to Tengen and Brain Boy.
Brain Boy?
Wait, is that...
Oh, Brain Boy. I remember. I know who.
Yes, Brain Boy. Yes, Tengen, Brain Boy, and Sukuna seem like they don't have the raw horsepower that Gojo has, but I feel like they've kind of got their own little things in... Because remember, Gojo's pretty young. These people are hundreds of years. Gojo's like 28. Yeah, Gojo's 28. These people are, like, even if he's got more raw power, he doesn't necessarily know how to use it as well as these old monsters who have lived for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
So just while we're talking about Gojo's age, just to interrupt this for a second. So Gojo is 28. Nanamine and Ijichi are 27.
Yeah, it is funny. Isn't it?
It is hilarious.
Okay,
They look 10 years older than Gojo.
Nanami kind of makes sense because Nanami looks like seems like he's the type of person who's looked like he's in his mid-50s since he was born. Ijichi, though, has no excuse.
I mean, Ijichi has almost certainly been aged by having to look after Gojo for a while.
Oh, almost certainly. 100%.
So the fact that he's like, "Are you pranking me? And are you going to punish me later?" when when Gojo tells him to stop the car and go without him, the fact that he's worried about that suggests that it's happened. And I just I feel bad for the guy. Like, I love Gojo, but he can be mean sometimes.
Gojo's whole deal is, I could kill everyone who annoys me, but I don't want to do that because that'd make me a bad person. So instead, I'm going to make myself their problem every single opportunity I get.
Yeah.
And you know that, like
he decides
Ichichi
to
will
be
have
the-
to like
The ultimate troll.
yeah, you know that probably Ichichi will probably have to like report to like the higher ups what Gojo does, and that's probably why he messes with Ichichi. Because I believe that the higher ups will
But, like,
like want to
also,
keep
yeah,
like
a
keep
lot,
tabs on
I do
Gojo as much as
feel like a
possible.
lot. I do feel like a lot of the problems would be solved. Like Gojo has the Superman and Batman issue, where he is capable of solving all of the world's problems, but he's very, very easily could fall off the slippery slope, and he knows it, so he doesn't. Because Gojo would basically just kill every bad person in the sorcerer community.
I said no. I
And
said it's
Canonically.
it is my belief that he knows that he could kill anybody who annoys him, but doesn't want to because he he wants to be a good person and wants to be a good example for his students, and so instead
to be a good
he
person.
annoys the shit out of everyone as like retaliation for being forced to put up with them.
Yeah, it's like why Superman doesn't just preemptively beat the crap out of every supervillain on the planet, which he could.
I also headcanon that
So Superman doesn't have.
Yeah, I also headcanon that Gojo has spent literal days like doing the worst, most annoying things imaginable with Yugi just to piss off Sukuna. Like watching like
That
the
does seem like
worst
the sort of thing he'd
movies,
do.
eating the worst food just to piss off Sukuna. And Yugi obviously
no.
doesn't like understand what's happening, and he just like enjoys spending time with Gojo.
Probably made. That's because.
Pretty sure he's the only person who enjoys spending time with Gojo.
He is, yes.
I mean, to be fair. Well, Nobara kind of likes spending time with Gojo.
I guess. And also, of course.
Okay, this is now our Jujutsu Kaisen podcast.
Yeah,
though.
we are now just turning this into
We should wrap this up.
So okay, so one of the series I wanted to mention
JoJo,
was
then.
yeah, we'll talk about JoJo's first then. You go ahead because I have issues with JoJo's.
As was mentioned in the comments, JoJo doesn't really escalate upwards much as kind of lateral. There's kind of a lateral escalation a lot of the
It's
time.
horizontal until you get to the final boss.
At which point it does spike up a lot.
Kind
Yeah.
of. So here's the thing. JoJo is one of those where, with the exception of Part 6, and maybe Part 7, but Part 7 is kind of its own beast.
Yeah.
Parts 1 through 5 and Part 8, from what I can tell,
I didn't
are
read
the-
Part 8, so I can't tell you.
The scale and the stakes are pretty small. They're not. It's not that they're meaningless. Like, lives are at stake, but like not the lives of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, Part 1 and 2 more.
I'd say
Two
two was for the fate of the world.
2
was
is for the
one.
fate of the world.
I think you
I
could
one-
argue about
one and
Dio.
1 and
You
3
can make there's a very like the thing about Dio is that he never really, after Part 1, he kind of just, what he did was dick around and kill people. Like, not on a large scale. He never attempted to rule the world or anything. He was kind of just
his motivation after Part 1 was just fucking with Joseph's descendants, really.
Jonathan's
To be
descendants.
fair,
Jonathan's
But
if you were
descendants, sorry.
Dio, to be fair, if you were Dio, would you also do that?
Probably.
here's the thing. Dio's motivation after the end of Part 1 is trying to fill the hole Jonathan left in his heart with meaningless sex. And
And
murder.
also fucking with Polnareff.
And also that, yes.
I mean,
to,
that's a good way to utilize a broken ass stand ability.
to be fair, like,
Just-
isn't Dio like basically immortal because he's a vampire? So
Yes,
Yes.
he's an immortal bisexual British person from the 1800s.
Yes.
I didn't think
Fun combination there.
think bisexual people existed in Britain in the 1800s.
JoJo's would have you beg differently.
So
Yeah.
here's the thing. Absolutely, Dio wanted to bang Jonathan.
100%.
I would not be surprised.
1,000,000%, and was jealous of Arena.
Also,
And
not-
also Speedwagon.
And, well, Speedwagon wasn't jealous, but he did want to bang Jonathan.
To be fair, everyone wanted to bang Jonathan, except Jonathan's dad, who was too stupid to live.
yes.
I mean...
To be fair, Jonathan
His-
is a fucking brick house of a man.
I mean, also,
yeah.
to be fair, it's this weird thing with moms in that series. Because,
Yeah.
There's one
like...
thing with moms in a lot of shonen manga.
No, because, like, Joseph wanted to bang his mom.
Yeah.
To be fair,
Uh,
he didn't know she was his mom at the time.
And then Holly doesn't do anything, and then neither does...
no, Kakyoin wanted to bang Jotaro's mom.
Kakyoin
True.
wants to bang everybody's mom.
And then
Everyone's, yes. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Keep going.
Okay, yeah, Kakyoin is our favorite MILF hunting donut.
Mm-hmm.
Too soon?
Nah, not too soon.
Look, it's been long enough. We're allowed to joke about it.
It's been like 25.
But, part 4, was just weird. But anyway, so that's the thing. So if you think about it, part 2, Fate of the World. Part 3, Dio being unleashed on the world wouldn't end the world, but it would not be pleasant for some people.
It
Part
would
4,
very much be like a tyrant, basically. Dio would be a tyrant.
but he wouldn't actually but that's the thing. He stopped trying to rule the world because he was out for a while before he got Aurora to death.
Right, like, we don't know all we know is that Joseph's like, we should probably stop this because my granddad tried to stop him. So
And also, my daughter is dying, so
Yeah.
it's a whole thing. We should probably deal with this.
Part 4, one
Be right
serial
back.
killer
You can go bang a random Japanese woman.
while cheating on my wife. Yes. Part 4 is a serial
Literally
killer
just
in
a
a
city.
Yes, one city. A serial killer in one city who
Not
kills
even like a city, a small town, basically.
Yeah, who kills like once a year. And then part 5 is a bit larger. It's the entire
Italy.
the Italian mob.
Right.
Part 6 is the fate of the world, but kind of weirdly because Dio's ex-boyfriend is upset that he was just rebound.
Oh, perfect.
He really should have realized he was just a rebound when Dio asked him to put on a Jonathan mask. But you know,
He knew, and he was totally here for it.
Also, his brother was banging his sister. Let's not forget about that little
Okay.
tidbit.
Oh my God.
Let's hold off on part 6 spoilers because
All right, Stone Ocean is coming out. Yay! Yeah, I have mixed feelings on part 6 because part 6 is probably apart from part 1, the saddest ending.
Yeah.
Let's hold off on spoilers for part 6, please.
Okay.
Yes.
So part 7.
So like, if we can't talk about part 6, we probably shouldn't talk about part 7 or 8, really, should we?
Well, no, because part 7 is a complete reboot.
I still feel like we shouldn't talk about it if it's not like been actually.
It's
It
gonna come
hasn't
out
been
next
properly
week.
We can
published
talk
yet.
about the
The idea
scale.
is, like,
We can talk about the scale.
Part
of part
7 has a very large scale. Part 8
Well,
has a very
it's-
small.
Yeah, part 8 is because part 7 is part 2. All over.
Part 7
7
is
is part 1.
Part 1 through 3.
Yes, part 7 is parts 1 through 3. Part 8 is just part 4, so it's once again small town. Part 7 features the President of the United States, who has a literal... Yes, whose stand name is Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, which...
Or Filthy
Okay,
Acts and Reason
yes,
Right.
I was going to say, of all of the copyright-isms, that's probably one of the most decent ones. Filthy Acts performed at a reasonable price.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of BS visisms, but that one's okay.
That is the only one I accept as good. Anyway,
Oh, no.
the point.
Made in Heaven and Stairway to Heaven are kind of like equivalent.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, so,
But yes,
can we move on from JoJo's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I please talk about Hunter x Hunter, please?
Okay, go ahead.
Fine.
I will have issues, I'm sure, with what you
I've
say.
never want. You guys
I haven't
Look.
read Hunter x Hunter, and I haven't watched, and I've only watched like the first 10 episodes.
So
My issue is with the most recent arc.
Is it the one where they're on a boat?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
And they
I'll
have
just
been
go
for-
on the island on a loop.
Oh,
and,
you know what? It occurs to me that I think Togashi is trying to break Miura's record for longest time spent on a boat.
I think
Maybe.
he might have already done it.
'Cause
I mean, he
They've
is
been
on a
on that
boat,
boat for a
motherfucker. Don't you ever
while.
forget.
Miura spent like 7 years on the boat. Miura spent 7 years on the boat.
They might be closer to that than you think.
It's not been 7 years yet. Okay, fair enough. But okay, so here's the thing about Hunter x Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
It has a very, very firmly established scaling system in that it has the peak of what humans can do in that world without magic.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gives you some examples of some very powerful people with magic. But then it kind of has characters who exist outside of the existing scale without any sort of explanation. The first look you have at that is Greed Island, where it's never really explained, but basically Greed Island allows people to reality warp freely.
Sounds neat.
Well, no, as in the people who... Not the people. The people still have to do it, but basically Greed Island is their take on a VR game in which it's an actual place, and it just... They make use of a very poorly explained magic system that everyone says is very well explained to give the people running the island god powers. Like straight up reality warping.
Sounds neat.
So that's...
So I assume
it's like-
you mean like the magic cards in Greed Island.
Yes, the things that can basically very easily break the rest of the magic system. If people actually use their brains for 2 seconds, which they don't. But yeah, everyone's always like, oh, this magic system is very, very detailed and well explained. It's like, nah. And then you get to the second last arc, the Chimera Ant Arc, in which the human power ceiling absolutely gets ruffle stomped by the antagonist. Like, it's basically the Chimera Ant Arc is saying hey, you know that like established like power system? We're just gonna flip the table, right? Like we're just gonna introduce characters who are far more powerful than the established power system, and like people argue that that's the point of the arc, but I would say that the execution it leaves something to be desired. And the most funny thing is that despite the fact that these characters like Hunter x Hunter is at its core the problem with the power scaling is inconsistency. You've got characters who are powerful enough to tank a planet collapsing to the face, or like tank a point blank nuke, but they somehow are not immune to radiation poisoning. You've got characters who are apparently
wait, Fuzzy. I know that you're correct. I just want to interject. People have survived nukes and then died of radiation poisoning.
Not when they're literal magic insects.
True, but I'm just saying.
No, it's not consistent in what is and is not part of the magic system and what isn't. So basically, it's very hard to set up suspension of disbelief for that series and like proper scaling for that series, because it seems that whether or not an element of the series adheres to the real world's rules is entirely up to plot convenience. And that's why the power scaling is all over the place. It's like you have characters who are scaling super high, but they still, for some reason, like can get carbon monoxide poisoning or things like that. Whereas you have other characters in the same arc who are like, yeah, we don't need to breathe for like 4 years at a time. Right? And
Which character was that?
Like, I mean, there was a guy in the arc where one of them got carbon monoxide poisoning. The other guy was able to hold his breath for like 4 hours.
When did they get carbon monoxide poisoning, Fuzzy?
Or it was CO2. It was either carbon monoxide or CO2. One of the carbon oxygen molecules.
Are you 100% sure about that? Because I do not remember that at all.
It's the surfing lion versus the guy with the bong.
I don't remember this series as well as I think I do, apparently.
I haven't read it for a while.
I know nothing. I am unable.
Look, all I'm saying is there is a point in the series where there is a surfing lion fighting.
I know the fight. I know the fight that you're talking about. I don't remember like the guy's specific power.
The resolution was that the guy hid underwater and smoked a bunch and made the lion choke.
Like, your issue seems to be that that these people are like durable, like from physical damage, but
yeah, no,
like you know, still have, you know, actual like organs that can fail. Like it seems.
But I'm not explaining this well, but I think like the basic gist of it is that it's almost like magic versus magic has a different set of rules and power scaling than real world consequences versus magic. Like two uber powerful wizards shooting each other with magic, they can go like a billion rounds and not be tired, but suddenly they inhale some smoke and they're like, I'm dying. Right? That's my issue, is that the power scaling...
Again, the point is that these people are... The reason why
they're both extremely durable and not durable at all.
the reason why they are able to take these physical blows is they are protecting themselves with Nen. They can't, which is like the power. Like, there is even an arc based around, like, or not based around, but in one of the training arcs, they even say, like, one of the powers is you cover yourselves with Nen to protect yourself, and to, soften the blows, which, it's not something you can do with, say, radiation or carbon dioxide poisoning. Like, it is explained, Fuzzy.
But, like, it's not explained well. And it's not
I disagree.
well.
I disagree. I severely disagree. It is explained perfectly well.
Okay. Okay, let's ignore that. The fact that
let's ignore the thing that ruins your
Chimera
argument.
Ant Arc. Well, yes, that's how internet arguments work.
This is why I didn't want to talk about Hunter x
Hunter.
This is why I didn't want to talk about Hunter x Hunter, because it's just going to end up being
just as an aside, there's a whole. I mean, to be fair, there's a bit in Dragon Ball where both Krillin and Goku, and I think Roshi, are hurt by normal fucking bullets.
Yeah.
One of them is in Super.
Introduced being shot in the fucking head and walking off like nothing.
So apparently he can get shot in the head when he's 12, but when he's like in his mid 50s and gets shot, it actually bruises.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, that dissolved into nothing.
Yeah, that was not words.
Okay, I'm gonna move on because I do want to talk about like Yu-Gi-Oh, which
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Stakes wise did not escalate well. Went like damn near to the end of the world stake pretty early on. But in terms of actual power scaling, I think it actually managed to do relatively well.
You know what's funny is that the two final duels in the series are just the lowest stakes in the series.
Yeah,
that stakes are bragging rights.
Mm-hmm.
One of the final duel, I think the very last duel of the series is Yugi versus Xiaomi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a fun duel.
Yeah. It is a very fun duel, and was the first time I realised that the Silent Magician card was, or the titular Silent Magician was actually female, not male, despite me having the card for over a decade.
It also features the first time Yugi duels in the series.
Yeah. No, not the first time.
Fuck, really?
Is it?
Functionally speaking, it's the first real duel that he has in the series.
Well, the first, like... No, that can't be true. That can't be true. I'm certain he has dueled before.
No. The first time we meet Merrick, or the first time we're introduced to the Merrick plot, Yugi puts the puzzle on a chain, and he gets kidnapped and has to duel Bandit Keith, who's being mind controlled by Merrick, and he doesn't have the puzzle.
Oh, Bandit Keith. Bandit Keith.
Bandit Keith, currently actually Canadian.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, either way, my point is that Yu-Gi-Oh! Power scales well. Like, it introduces the god cards in Battle City, and then no card is able to beat them.
So Yu-Gi-Oh! Power scaling is interesting, because per arc it scales very well, but per series, but between series, every subsequent series more or less makes the previous series. That is not Yu-Gi-Oh's fault, that is Konami's fault for the card game. The only series you can really look at, the only series you can really look at without also including the actual real life card game is OG Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Takahashi specifically ignored the card game and just wrote his own rules for it, which is why nothing makes sense in it compared to the actual rules of the card game.
All he did was write the fucking duels like a wrestling
GS
match.
had a decent amount of that.
Dragon Knight jump on the catapult turtle to break the Moonlight Prison.
Yeah.
That was funny, and with
Or the Stone Giant destroy the moon to affect the tidal waves.
Yeah. As I said,
which is
as I
what's
said,
funny is that not only is that not how card games works, that's also how physics works.
Takahashi has specifically
tides
said
work.
he did not look at the rules of the actual card game. He just wrote each duel like a fucking wrestling match. And that makes the series make so much more sense.
He also didn't look up the rules of how nature works.
No, he
either.
didn't. He didn't. I don't care. It was
Which
still
is
a
even
fun
funnier.
series. But yeah, I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Power scaled well. Stakes
Or
scaled,
the
it
fucking
didn't do well.
what like the duel with Kaiba. The duel with Kaiba outside the castle.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes, the flotation ring.
Yeah.
The Swords of Revealing Light held up the flotation ring, and that's why the castle didn't.
Not that one. I'm talking about.
Oh, the
Yugi
one where he
versus Kaiba.
fused the fucking Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon with the zombie monster, which made Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon melt. Which is not something she
And then
can
Kaiba
do.
tried to commit suicide.
And then Kaiba tried to commit suicide. Because literally, he would rather die than lose at a card game.
I mean, this describes every character in the series, though.
No, but it describes Kaiba the most.
I mean,
Card games are serious fucking business in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
How different do you think that series would have been if, like, Atom had just been like, kill him?
I mean, Battle City literally wouldn't happen because Kaiba would be dead. Go straight to the Millennium Arc. But yeah, no. OG Yu-Gi-Oh! I think scales quite well. I can't talk about the other series because A, I haven't watched or read them, and B, certainly past GX, they're so influenced by the real-life card game and the shitty mechanic. Tell you what, the real-life card game scaled horribly. It is awfully scaled. So often they just fucking introduce new cards and mechanics that they then have to nerf immediately. Literally, they made a fucking
there's so much power creep in the card game.
Literally, they made a card called Red Eyes Dragoon, which is a fusion of Red Eyes Black Dragon and Dark Magician, which they immediately put on the ban list because it was so good. Just like, why would you make the card in the first place?
So I will say one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If
poor Pendulum Summon.
If OG Yu-Gi-Oh is like
poor Pendulum Summon.
Oh god, let's not talk about
Pendulum Summoning got shafted so hard by fucking Lynx, which is the worst mechanic in the game. I don't care. Lynx sucks. Lynx is awful.
So pendulum summons and Link summons are just, you need like a PhD to comprehend.
This is why
I do not have the but
this
no,
is why the
I was
only
gonna
special
say,
cards
in terms
I
of
have.
Scaling,
This
OG Yu-Gi-Oh peaks at like.
Hello?
Yes. Okay. OG Yu-Gi-Oh peaks at like Frieza Saga.
Which is Battle City?
Saga.
Huh?
Which is Battle City?
You said Frieza's.
No, I would say OG Yu-Gi-Oh, like, from beginning to end, I feel like only goes up to the scale of Frieza Saga.
Okay, yeah.
And GX starts as first arc is OG Dragon Ball, second arc goes straight to Boo, and then the third arc is the Tournament of Power.
Yeah, pretty much, from what I've heard. Also, Tiago, kind of yes. Like, if you play a fucking meta deck, you are just aiming for like a 1 to 3 turn kill. Like that is what happens when you run a meta deck. That is why I don't run a meta deck. That is why I run my horrific Frankenstein of a Dark Magician and cards I find fun deck. So
that's
many
also
magic
why
cylinders.
I exclusively run, and Mil can attest to this. I exclusively run Exodia decks.
Yeah,
that are not good.
Yeah, no, they're terrible.
Like I did win a couple of times.
Yes.
You know, I've heard that the other term for people who play meta decks are fucking killjoys.
Yes.
Yes. No, this is correct.
That's the thing. When I was at uni,
So-
like I played Yu-Gi-Oh quite often at my tabletop society, and there was one guy who ran meta decks while the rest of us didn't, and he was the worst person ever to duel against because meta decks aren't fun. Because so much of it is spent just reading the fucking cards and then going, okay, so what do I have to do here?
Well, no,
and,
it's
the turns take 10 minutes.
I think ProZD has the best series of skits on this. But no, I was gonna say, if two people are running a meta deck, it basically comes down to a coin flip or a game of rock paper scissors.
It does.
Like the first person to play wins. Mm-hmm. That's it. Or the second, depending on what your deck wants. It's.
Meanwhile, I have so much fun playing my friend who has 100-card dragon deck. It's so much fun.
I have Exodia decks that I only lose with because I don't know how to play them.
Yeah.
So it's not the deck's fault. It's my fault. I'm incompetent, not the deck.
Anyway, we're getting close to 2 hour mark. I do want to mention Demon Slayer. I want to know people's opinions on that.
I don't have
power scaling is the issue with Demon Slayer.
Yes. Stakes stayed the same from beginning to end.
Yes.
And the power scale is pretty consistent for the most part.
The problem is that Demon Slayer tries very hard not to be Hamon. When it actually just should. Like, it tries very hard not to be magic, even when it should.
Yeah.
My issue with Demon Slayer's power scaling is it moves very, very fast. There is no chance to breathe. I hate myself for it.
The Demon Slayer...
each arc seems to go up another scale until finally we reach the final arc, and magically Tanjiro, after like a year, is up at near Hashira level.
Not near, at pillar level.
I was being kind, and also I don't remember much from Demon Slayer. It's not left that much of an impact on me. The manga has it anyway.
Yeah, it's just.
There's an odd series.
Look, it had one really good episode with a good soundtrack.
And it made it the best-selling manga for the last 2 years.
To be fair, Gojo's eyes had a similar effect.
Gojo's eyes had a very similar effect. Not quite as much,
but not to quite the same obscene degree.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of any other series we could talk about that would fit in this. We never really did discuss Food Wars, did we? And I kind of want to discuss Food Wars because I think for 90% of the series, it does quite well on the power scale. It does get a bit ridiculous, but it does fairly well. And then in the final arc, which is the worst arc ever, it just blows the ceiling off the roof for no reason.
No, it's not the final arc. It's the second to last arc. It's the one before they become the Elite 10.
I don't think Central got that ridiculous.
No. The
Central was
arc
okay.
Isn't that egregious? It's the blue arc that is just so obscene.
Central is when the warning signs were there. That was when the warning.
There were warning signs, but it still was not as egregiously awful.
I'm just gonna say it outright. The reactions in Food Wars were just lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, they were.
Can I also just posit? We should probably mention Mishima.
Who? What? Where?
Hiro
Hiro
Mashima.
Mashima.
Oh, Mashima.
Oh,
Yeah, we haven't talked about Fairy Tail, have we?
God. Oh. Here's the thing. No, Fairy Tail is like Hitman Reborn. Kind of. In the sense that
I just thought of
every
another one.
arc...
I just thought of another
I
one we
think you're
haven't talked
comparing a
about.
simile to a metaphor here, Fuzzy.
Huh?
I think you're comparing a simile to a metaphor here, Fuzzy.
Well, no, because I was going to say every arc is the same.
Yeah, no, you have the status quo, the arc changes status quo in the middle of the arc. You ramp up, you have the arc progression, character arcs happen, and then you have a return to status quo at the end with minor changes. And then rinse and repeat for the entire series.
So here's the thing. The series goes like this. Natsu and Gray get their asses handed to them and then realize they have the power of friendship and then win in one hit.
It's not just Natsu and Gray.
No, but like they're the Goku and Vegeta.
They are the biggest effect.
They're also, I don't even want to talk about Erza, but we should.
Oh God, she pulls things out of her ass all the time.
Literally, her entire thing is that she's already the strongest individual, and whenever she runs into a problem, she just happens to have a magic armor that solves that exact problem.
Either that, or she just pulls the power of friendship out of her ass to win the day.
Yes. And that's the worst part, is the fight choreography is just so bad in that series.
It's extremely
it's
repetitive, yeah.
It's just every fight ends in one punch, but like not in an amusing way.
Not every fight, just most fights.
The majority of the fights end in the main characters, like the protagonists, are getting beaten up, and then they realize they have,
move
and
win.
then they do a finishing move and win. Yes. That's it. That's all.
Seems like a good place to end the discussion about Fairy Tail and move on to Seven Deadly Sins.
That's probably
What's Seven Deadly Sins? I've never heard of such a series.
It's actually an
prequel,
ecchi series that was.
It's the prequel series to Four Nights of the Apocalypse.
I'm kidding.
I know, but
Are you familiar with the Seven Deadly Sins ecchi series?
No,
Wait,
and I don't
exist?
intend to.
Well, it's called
yes.
Seven Mortal Sins, isn't it?
It's literally the name is the same in Japanese. They had to change it for English. They're both Nanatsu no Taizai.
They're very different series, not directly connected in any way besides the name.
They're kind of similar in that they're horny.
True.
But yeah, Seven Deadly Sins went power scaling. What's that, basically?
Yeah.
And also, just has the main character be like
A sex
someone who
pest.
grooms. Yes.
Sex pest.
Oh
And-
God.
A
And
grooming
actively-
pedophile.
Yes, exactly.
God, everything to do with Meliodas and Elizabeth is just so weird and gross.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
I've never hated an interpretation of Merlin and King Arthur more than I've hated in that series.
Yeah.
It made me want to go back and watch the BBC Merlin series for a while. Just
To
to
be fair,
watch
that
the
series
taste.
is actually pretty fun.
Just to wash the taste, like to read some good Merlin, or watch some good Merlin, because like Escanor got shafted.
Yeah.
Literally every character in that series had a happy ending except Escanor.
Yeah.
Fuzzy, you should watch The Green Knight.
I've heard that one.
I'd rather not. The Green Knight is actually like my least favorite Arthurian fable.
I've
Really?
heard good things about this movie. And
It
Dev
has Dev Patel as Gawain.
Okay, yes, I get it. Like the adaptation's probably good. I just the taste. I just have a horrible
That's
taste
fair.
in my mouth from the source material.
But that's fair. I just wanted to bring that up just because Arthur is great.
Because like, here's the thing. The Green Knight. The ending of the Green Knight is about as bad as the ending of Domekano or Bleach.
What makes you say that?
It's very
Let's not
Looney
get
Tunes.
No, it's not that. It's let's not get into it. It's a whole thing.
This is a different discussion.
Yes.
The point
We'll
is,
talk about it off stream.
Yeah.
Also, why does their Meliodas and Elizabeth's son look so weird?
I don't know.
Because the artist does not know how to draw children.
Inuyasha,
He knows how to draw children when
how is the power scaling in Inuyasha? If it existed.
I don't remember.
So power scaling in Inuyasha is actually pretty good. It's the stake scaling that's kind of, or rather, Inuyasha has a similar problem to Fairy Tail, in that a lot of in the early game, yes, the fights are won or lost due to power scaling, or due to the characters' powers, but in the late game, basically every fight comes down to power of friendship or love.
Contrast that to Sailor Moon, which is just the other Sailor Scouts hold the line until Sailor Moon shows up and wins.
So the Dragon Ball.
Yes, so Dragon Ball. Yes, the Dragon Ball approach.
But like the other Sailor Scouts do stuff. They just they can't land the winning blow.
I'd still say that's Dragon Ball.
That's Dragon Balling, yes.
That's
That
Dragon
is
Ball.
I mean, to be fair,
lesser Dragon Balling.
if we want to get to if we're including like non-shonen like Fairy Tail, I mean, not
But no,
Fairy
if we're
Tail,
no, if we're talking about like what's her face, Hiromu Arakawa.
Oh, Fullmetal Alchemist is a very
Yes.
great version of this.
Though powers do scale pretty hard, and the final fight is a bit, because like when you're the final fight is a bit meh, but like it does
If
scale
we're trying
pretty
to like
decently.
fight God, it tends to happen.
Yeah, no, you fight God and you win by punching him a bunch. That's like
I
he's
enjoyed it. I
literally
very much
he's
like it.
literally throwing hydrogen bombs at you, and you punch him, and somehow punches beat hydrogen bombs. Even though physical strength is explicitly one of the things you don't augment in that series. Anyway,
I think you're thinking too much about it.
I mean, so if we want to just like step away from shonen, like the Miraculous Ladybug also has this problem where like you have a character in Cat Noir whose power set is literally he can destroy anything he touches, and
That's
Ladybug,
including his
broken.
relationships.
yes, and Ladybug can create anything she wants.
Also broken.
But like they never use those powers effectively, and Ladybug has to be the one to win the fight for actual plot reasons. But
And also because it's a children's show and they can't actually just resolve the show by having Cat Noir murder all the antagonists.
I mean, they had a bad art. They had a bad end. What if episode about that? But
That's what What If episodes are for.
the point is like this is like the shonen escalation problem where stakes and power levels can never match. Is if we want to get like deep into it, a lot of the time this happens is because capitalism, because Jump or the editors of the magazine or the runners of the show.
So I will say one thing though. We should really clarify. This is not a Japan exclusive problem. This is not a manga exclusive problem.
No, definitely.
Like, you know what's a very old but relevant example of the Shonen Escalation problem?
comic books.
No. Older.
MCU.
No. Narnia.
Oh yeah,
Against C.S. Lewis.
fucking Lewis.
Yeah, no. Like, I get that it's Catholicism, but it's scaled like the stakes and the
No, he's
scaling.
specifically not Catholicism. He's Protestantism.
Right,
Yeah, I'm
right.
pretty sure
It's
Tolkien was a Catholic.
Christianity. It's Christianity.
I mean,
Yes.
it's
I just need
it's
to make
very
that. I
hard
need to make that clear. My partner is in Christian school.
It's very hard to scale past the Jesus allegory.
Yeah. Lion Jesus is very hard to scale past.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jesus line's a whole thing.
I mean,
And apparently the answer to everyone's problems was dying in a train crash, except for the sister who wanted to be an adult.
Well, she got the
please
chance.
do not get in.
Look,
Because she
no,
lived.
I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing that Lewis has his problems.
Okay, actually let's look at good and bad examples of power scaling in that era. I would say
let's
Grandpa
Western
Tolkien did some
media.
really solid. Grandpa Tolkien did some really solid power and stake scaling.
He did.
I mean, 90%
Lord
of
of the
it
Rings
was
is a very
solid,
good,
really.
well-scaled series.
Hmm?
90%,
What was that, Mel?
90% of Tolkien stuff was done well. The only issue is the long-windedness of it.
Yes.
Hobbit was not very long-winded. Neither was like
Hobbit was fine. Hobbit was fine. I'll give Tolkien that. Hobbit was fine. The Lord of the Rings series probably could have done with being shorter. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but like, how do we? But we have to like describe the taste of lembas bread for 19 pages, though. How could
Let's
we not
be honest.
describe taste?
Let's be honest. The movies that cut like 50% of the books out were still pretty much fine.
I mean, he had to talk about Tom Bombadil and his smoking hot wife.
I just imagine like Tolkien with his editors.
Tom Bombadil.
I just imagine Tolkien with his editors just going, "No, this is the one bit I'm not cutting. You make me cut this, I'm not publishing the book. Fuck you." I have to talk about how hot Tom Bombadil's wife is.
Tom Bombadil's wife, who he kidnapped.
It was a different time.
Yeah.
Tom Bombadil's hot wife, who he kidnapped.
It was a different time, Fuzzy.
Yeah.
It was the 30s and 40s.
Oh boy.
But his cat is blue and his boots are yellow.
Anyway, I think we have run out
on
of...
to other Western media that has the power scaling problem.
Okay.
Comic books, yes. Absolutely.
Like, you have all the crazy shit that Superman could do in the Silver Age, to the point where they literally had a crisis to basically retcon Superman into a more believable power level, and he still gets power scale to fucking madness.
Here's the thing: this is the issue with, as you said, comic books, but also series like Naruto, Dragon Ball, Bleach, which is that they go on for so long that it's hard not to reach a power ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's so hard to actually pace
some
it
of the best Superman
well.
stories have.
Go ahead.
The best Superman stories are stories where his powers are irrelevant.
Yeah, or that they take place with a really small scope and/or scale. Like All-Star Superman is literally Superman coming to terms with the fact that he's dying and deciding to do as much good for the world as he can in his dying days.
But then also he becomes God at the end. It's a whole thing.
That's irrelevant to the bulk of the story. Like, yeah, literally every major DC hero has well, not every major DC hero, but a lot of them have done godhood adjacent things.
Mm-hmm. But my point is that especially in shonen, where we've Jack and I discussed the issues of facing shonen series in their early days. Like, if you don't have an idea of your power ceiling from the very beginning and you don't stick with it, then it's not going to work. And, you know, it is very clear that the likes of Toriyama, Kishimoto, Kubo didn't have an idea of what they wanted their power ceilings to be. Or if they did, they were forced to go past it. Whereas, you know, someone like Oda has a clear idea of his power ceiling and has never once needed to go past it, despite the fact that his series is so much longer than anybody else's.
Yes, well, that's the thing, is it's the difference in planning. Like, Mashima absolutely was not ready. Like,
Mashima plans?
Well, no. Mashima did, in fact, plan until the third arc, which was supposed to be the final arc. And then it went on for about 9 more arcs.
Yeah, again,
Which one was that? Right?
The arc that introduced the Metal Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Metal Dragon Boy.
That's Phantom
Again,
Lord.
that's the point.
Yes.
You know, you look at something like Dragon Ball, and you wonder if Toriyama had actually been allowed to end it where he really wanted it, would the power scaling be that bad?
Toriyama actually wanted to end it at Monster Carrot.
Yeah,
the thing.
Clearly, and you know that's the power ceiling.
There were several possible endpoints he was considering.
I still think that like Cell Saga as the final
Cell Saga really
arc of Dragon Ball would have been a perfect ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Though, funnily enough, the Cell Saga itself is like an editorial nightmare.
Oh yeah, no, it's because the editors were messing with it so
much.
much.
Made it.
The editors fucked with Toriyama so much in that arc.
Yeah, because no, that's what I meant, is that like, because like they're like, okay, but like the old man and the clown aren't scary enough, and then they're like, okay, but like those
kids are punks. Like
those kids
they're not
are
intimidating,
and also they're hot. And then is like, okay, but he's this weird bug man. Okay, so he's like half a bug man.
Oh, he's
okay,
so
now
ugly.
He's
so ugly.
Both a bug man and also kind of hot. This is what we're here for.
Yeah.
And he also has a butt mouth.
Mm-hmm. So I think we are coming to the end here, but there is one last series I do want to mention that I keep forgetting about. World Trigger.
Unlike some series, oh yes.
World Trigger.
What?
I want to talk about World Trigger's power scaling because I think it's good.
Oh, okay. Okay. World Trigger is a series I have a very difficult relationship with.
I understand why, because going through it monthly is hell. It's complete hell. I've had to make a fucking spreadsheet to keep track of characters.
I actually had another direction I was coming at it from.
Okay.
Sometimes it feels like World Trigger has the opposite problem, where the power scaling is too slow and can't keep up with the threat scaling. The stakes.
I disagree. Because
it does feel like that sometimes.
Because I don't think...
Well, Glasses Boy is perpetually a weakling.
Well, that's his entire deal, is the fact that he is weak and he has to find ways to overcome it. That is his entire arc. Like, as it stands, you know, characters like Yuma and Jin are...
I don't know,
Go on.
It kind of lost me at the point where they started introducing the humanoid, and at the point where they started introducing the sapient aliens and kind of started going off-world, I was like, okay, this is starting to feel like a Chinese web novel, and that's not a good comparison.
I disagree.
One of these days, you're going to have to do a whole discussion on Chinese web novels.
I disagree, but
that would require someone other than me to read them.
I was about to say that. I disagree, but I also haven't read any Chinese web novels, so I don't know your point of comparison. So I can't really say if it's accurate or not. Look, I like World Trigger's power scaling. I think it's set like a decent enough ceiling
Okay.
with the likes
I
of the
do-
Black
I do
Triggers
think
and.
I do think so, but I do think there's like a bit of a. It's kind of hard to parse sometimes, right? Because like
No, it's a very technical series. It's a very technical series because
Yes,
it's
it's
very
like,
rarely
it's-
built on power. It's always built on tactics, and if you can't like keep up with the tactics, you are lost.
so like Hunter x Hunter until the Chimera Ant Arc.
Yes.
That was the point I was trying to make.
Okay.
That I was bad at making because I can't speak very well.
You have a point.
Is when you
You have a point.
when you have a series that is built on, okay, everyone peaks at around the same level, and after that you kind of just have to use your brain muscle.
I mean,
You got to use your thinking muscle.
The issue
Yeah,
is
And
brain
then the
blast.
comments come in and they're like, okay, we're just stronger than everyone, so we don't have to think.
the issue is for up until the Chimera Ant Arc, the focus is pretty much solely on Gon and Killua, who are not strong in the grand scheme of things. They are relatively weak. And then the Chimera Ant Arc has the focus of Meruem versus Netero. Two of the strongest, if not the strongest, beings on the planet.
Well, that's the thing is that the strongest human on the planet and Meruem versus Meruem is a stomp. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
We will have a Hunter x Hunter podcast at some point when I've reread the manga fully and can remember things from it. Because I haven't reread the Chimera Ant for a while, for at least a
And
couple
don't even
of
get me
years.
started on the spider clowns.
But yeah, we have
I am so
we've
confused.
hit 2 hours 20, so we should probably wrap up. Unless
Sounds good to
anyone
me.
else has any like other series you want to mention, I can't think of any.
No, I think covered every single Hitman series in existence. Yes.
I mean, I guess we could mention something like Twin Star Exorcist.
Twin
I
Star
think they're
Exorcist is a very difficult series for me to talk about because it's very good, but also it's like scares me.
In what way? I'm curious.
I love that series, but I'm like too attached to it, and as a result, I'm worried it's going to go wrong every time a new chapter comes out because it's shonen. You can never really.
It's also gotten past the
Shonen
point.
Alpha.
It's also gotten past the point where I feel like it should have ended. So I understand your fear.
Yes, also that. It
I understand
very
your
much-
fear severely.
It very much should have ended, and then it had a 4-year time skip.
Yeah, no,
And
I understand your
they
fear.
didn't even hold hands. Like they were like, yes, let's get married, and then not. They didn't even hold hands for 4 years. And I'm just like, okay, I get it. That's the trope.
I
Can
mean,
we subvert it for once?
at least Benio came back. That was what you were scared about before, right? When you first read it, I think, or didn't like about it. If I'm remembering
No, I
correctly.
just wish it was going to come back. I was just more worried that they were going to introduce an unnecessary love triangle.
No, they didn't. They to be fair to them, they've been fairly consistent on keeping it between Benio and Rokuro.
Yeah, but like it's like gotten like I do feel like you're correct in that it like reached a point where it should have ended.
I don't think it is a prequel, Tiago. I don't think it is. I hope it
No,
isn't.
Twin Star
I
Exorcist.
hope it isn't because it's been going on for like 8 years. And I don't want to know
Okay,
how long it's
God.
going to take. It's a monthly series.
You want to know another series that we didn't mention that has absurd power scaling?
Hmm?
I don't know if any of you guys have read this, but Akame ga Kill.
Oh God! Oh, don't get me started on that. That is one of the worst, single most dishonest series I've ever come across in my entire life.
Do we want to end it
In
with
what
that?
way?
Emotionally dishonest.
Yes.
And with that, thank you for joining us as we rant for 2.5 hours.
Yeah. I mean, we've basically just been talking about Shonen series with the vague topic of their escalation.
Well, no, we've been complaining about their escalation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that counts, I feel.
Sorry, my power died. Like, my internet died partway throughout.
No,
It
it's
still
fine.
hasn't come back. I've updated this whole time.
It's fine. Don't worry
You're
about
good.
it. So in terms of future streams, obviously we don't have a Paradox out for Saturday. So we might either do Mass Effect, Fuzzy, if you're free on Saturday night.
I'm going to be about 30,000 feet in the air.
So no. So
on Saturday.
instead, probably Jack and I will do Psychonauts again. Because I'm enjoying
Yes, that's
Psychonauts.
probably
I'm
for the
game for
best. For Mass Effect on Tuesday.
Good.
Mill, you should play Wildermyth at some point, because I know you have it.
I do have Wildermyth, yeah. I bought it on a whim after hearing you talk about it. And I will play it eventually.
I will also be playing Control, and at some point, which if anyone wants to join me for that, it's basically the closest thing we're gonna get to a AAA SCP game.
It is so good. I love it.
What, Control?
Yes.
Yeah.
Control is really good, but Wildermyth is probably my game of the year so far.
As I said, I will play it at some point. So Saturday will probably be Psychonauts. Sunday will be D&D as always, or as usual. Looking forward to that. A lot of chaos in the last session. A lot of chaos. And as Fuzzy said, Tuesday will be Mass Effect, and then next Thursday, I believe it's another Paradox Hour on Thursday. Yes, Oathbringer.
Oh, joy.
Oh no!
I get a Thursday off. Hooray!
No!
I get a Thursday off.
Oh god!
Goody.
Oathbringer's gonna be a talk
Yeah.
and a half.
Have fun with that,
Yeah,
guys.
we'll need to make sure Aerith's available for that one, but
Yes, but yeah.
But otherwise, as always, thank you for watching. Please give us a follow on Twitch and on Twitter, and a subscribe on YouTube, where I'm trying to make sure all the archives go up. And I guess we'll see you next time. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Later.